let me try and keep this on a one question at a time situation. When you have apps, when you and I first spoke on the radio show, you had some apps that you were promoting.
Yes.
Wallpaper and things like that. Are they still up, and tell us about them?
Actually, yes. I used to be a programmer while years ago. And as I'm already always saying that I believe in sharing experience, and I found that the new social media and the new mobile devices are a very good media, a very good device to have all the knowledge on your bucket. I was searching about a conservation application, especially in Android mobiles. I didn't find any of this, so I decided to develop some of conservation application. Here on the screen, we can see 5 applications, which already 3 of them are online now. You can download it for free for sure. Conservator can download it for free for sure. And 2 of these applications still under development process. They will be available soon. I'm just doing such application to aid and to give the assistance for the younger conservators, for the new generation. I mean, for the emerging conservator who are new on the conservation issue, and for professionals as well. I start my application. I start my Android application. We can go to the next photographs as well. So that is one of the application. It's antique photographs process identification. For sure, if you would like to go through a conservation or a preservation process for your collection, especially for those who are not specialized in such media, or the people who have their own collection, a family collection, so on, they should start know what is the type of their collection, what is the process type of the photo.
So you've set up a process where people can identify anything from a Daguerre type to a salt print to an Ambro type to anything like that on this. Let me say one thing. I tried when you first came out with this project. I had written to you and said to you, and I had written to Alex Novak, and I'm mentioning both of your names on air at the same time because I think you and Alex Novak this is an address for everybody to copy down if you want to get one of the most phenomenal. But I want to give a shout out to Mahmoud, Shireen, Nagala, David, and everybody else that is tuning in and watching us right now. And this, Sherif, we thank you, is probably the most heavily viewed program that we have done to date. And with people like you to help us make this show great, I thank you. Daru Shoki tried most of these apps. You've got a loyal supporter, and they're useful. We're happy to have you here. So when you finish, there are other projects. And I think Thorne wanted to come in if we don't have other slides and was going to be asking you about something if you didn't cover that point. I'm just trying to share you with my co-hosts.
I think that we still have some slides we can go through that. I'm just talking about the applications.
Then let's do that. Let's do that if we have. Well, the photographs. Go ahead. Explain, Sherif.
So the application, the photograph application, make it easy for the people who are not expert on conservation. So we can just you can go through the process identification very easily. In the next slide, you can see that how to go through that application. If you are expert, you can just choose from the drop-down menu the type which you would like to go and know more information. If you are not expert, the application will guide you through some process. We can go next and see that we can choose between the substance, which is glass or paper or whatever, or it is a negative, if it's positive or a negative, you can choose the substance, and so on. It will guide you through the application. Actually, I'm working on developing this project, and updates will be up soon. If we will go to the next screen, that's most of the known type of photographs and negatives as well, which is available on the application. Some are available and some are still under process. I'm just developing it whenever I have time to do. We can go to the next slide, and then that the main screen for the type. If we are talking about like album and print, it will tell you what is layer it contains, what is the support it normally has, what is the features, and if we go to the next slide, it will give you some examples and the deterioration factors which you can find on it, deterioration on the photos, and so on. You can find some movies on the bottom. You can find the movie about how they are doing such process and some other materials. Now we are navigating through the paper marble paper application that for the people who are working in binding. Sometimes they're trying to identify the date and the technique of the marble paper for the end leaves, especially for the end leaves and the binding material, which is one of the very informative thing that you can date through it the binding technique, and maybe you can figure out it is an original or not. I'm talking about the binding, if it is the first binding or second binding, and it gives you the classification according to some of classification, international classification. And then next picture will show us some information about how they are doing it, how marble are used to do it, what is the technique they're used to do it, and some similar examples are available as well if you would like to navigate through the other examples. The good thing in these applications, as well as if you are a marble all around the world, I'm just trying to gather all the people who are working in the same field in one application. So for free, you can add yourself, just contact with me, send me an email and your work for sure. I'm just adding the a contact list for the people who are working on the historical marbling techniques, not for the modern marbling techniques, because basically we are focusing on the historical marbling technique. So I'm just adding some of these people. You can freely contact with them under your responsibility. I'm not responsible about their work. The third application, which we have the slideshow on it now, that is the BA Conservation Lab. Basically, that application that's the first application which I've already developed for our laboratory in the Bibliotheca Alexandrina, and it focused on our activities on the lab, and for sure it gives, if you go to the second slide, you can find some information guides for the conservation, some movies about our conservation process and the projects as well. And for the training process, that is the main concern for that application. If we will go to the next slide, we will see that you can register the people who would like to do a training program or asking for a training. They can easily go and register for the training. And for our students who already get a training on our conservation lab, they have like a portal, a special portal interface access. We usually give them a username and the password. If you go to the next slide, that is a login for the training student only. It's available for only for the students. So they put their username and password and get all the materials for free, which they've already studied through the our conservation training program. Forever, they can download it for free and they can have it. Now, okay.
How does one get to work with the master, Sherif? How does one get to work with you? I mean, I see you offer these things in video, but I always see you on your Facebook post. You are surrounded by a bunch of students that are enthralled, fascinated, and I'm awed by watching the whole process just in a video. So how do and where do those students come from?
Actually, they have come from the conservation institutions from Egypt, from everywhere in Egypt, and as well as from the Middle East area. And as I've already mentioned before, that we have some students from all around the world. That we already have some students from France, from Spain, from Kazakhstan, from Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and we've already students and professionals as well, because we are sharing experience. Always conservators trying to travel to know new things and get new knowledge from other conservators all around the world. If we are going to talk about the practical part, they have a shortage on the practical part. So we are trying to fill this gap on the practical part. We're taking the student, giving him all the experience and knowledge, the practical and the exact and the real experience of going through conservation on rare objects, and giving him the chance to work on a rare object under our supervision as well. So after 2 months of training program, he will be able to mainly working under a supervision of senior conservation as a junior conservation, and making a decision of conservation and understanding all the concept and techniques and the science of, not all the science I mean, but the concept of the science of conservation for the rare books and for archival materials as well.
What got you started is, I mean, you've taken your career to amazing heights, and I don't think you've reached your altitude yet. I think you got stratospheres to go yet. But